What is dynamic range in low-key photography? Imagine capturing a scene where the shadows seem to swallow details, yet you still want to see texture and depth within those dark areas. That's where understanding dynamic range becomes essential. Dynamic range in photography is the ability of a camera to record the difference between the darkest shadows and the brightest highlights in one image. It's measured in stops, with each stop representing a doubling of the light captured. The higher the number of stops, the more detail your camera can record in both shadows and highlights. In low-key photography, where the focus is on dark tones, shadows, and contrast, dynamic range plays a big role. These images relying heavily on shadow detail and subtle gradations of darkness to create mood and drama. If your camera has a limited dynamic range, you might lose detail in the shadows, turning textures into flat black blobs. Or highlights could become overly bright, losing their texture and making the image look washed out. When setting up for low-key images, lighting is usually minimal, often with just one or two light sources. This setup emphasizes shadows and contrast, making dynamic range even more important. You want your camera to capture the nuances within those shadows without losing information. If your camera's dynamic range isn't enough, the shadows might appear crushed or overly dark, flattening the image. Managing dynamic range in low-key photography involves careful exposure. Photographers often meter for the darkest areas they want to keep visible, ensuring shadows retain texture and form. Post-processing can help too, by selectively brightening shadows or controlling highlights to maximize what the camera captured. In essence, dynamic range in low-key photography is about how well your camera can record the subtle differences within the dark tones and limited highlights of your scene. Having a camera with a good dynamic range means you can preserve detail in shadows and highlights, which is key to creating images with depth, mood, and visual interest. Properly managing this range allows you to craft powerful low-key images that evoke emotion and tell a story through light and shadow.